Coach, this is Apurva from Goalkeepers Sports. My question is to you that the club has announced the inclusion of Vinit Rai yesterday. According to you, what are the aspects that he would bring to the team for the next upcoming season, ongoing season?
Yeah, I think he has a wonderful skill set, and I've spoken since I arrived here about having the best Indian players at this club, and he certainly fits that profile for that, and also how we want to play. And what he also does is he contributes to an already good midfield with us, and just gives us different options, whether it's to start or to change the game up should we need to at any point.
Thank you, Coach. Just a follow-up question is that what is your assessment on the performance of Mohammad Nawaz, goalkeeper, this season so far?
With what, sorry?
Assessment on
Mohammad Nawaz. Assessment on Mohammad Nawaz, goalkeeper.
Yeah, well, Naz has played the last 9 games, and I think it's easy to pull out mistakes, but I think it's also important that you reflect upon the 9 games as a whole. There's some important moments that goalkeepers especially don't get credit for when the team go on to get results, and I can certainly use examples off the top of my head like Bengaluru, where he saves the penalty from Chetri that allows us to go on and win that game. So it's not necessarily just about looking at mistakes, it's making sure in the context of 9 games that we've got a young 21-year-old goalkeeper who hadn't played in 9 months before this season started, but is also an experienced goalkeeper in playing over 50 games in this league. So I'm happy with him up until this point as we look across the 9 games.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Apurva. Ali.
Good afternoon, Coach. This is Ali from Football in India.
Hi.
So, Coach, you started the season on a very positive note, winning 5 out of 6 games initially. But then after that, in the last 3 matches, you have only been able to manage 1 draw and 2 losses. And in the meantime, you have conceded 10 goals, which is obviously not a good number. So, according to you, what went wrong in the last 3 matches?
We've made too many mistakes as a collective, as a team. We've made too many mistakes individually, more so in the last games. So you look at the games, and we've obviously gone back through and reviewed. If there's a consistency to those mistakes, then that's something we can really focus and work on, and that's something we did in the lead up to the last game. But if they're individual mistakes, they do happen, and you hope that when they happen, they don't happen as often as they did maybe in the last game in particular. So across the context of the 9 games rather than just the 3, we're a very young, I say young, we're in our infancy. It's only 9 games that we've had together. We've had a lot of change, but across the 9 games, not just the 3 that we've just played, I think we've played some extremely good football, and the first half or the first 60 minutes of the last game I was delighted with the quality, the movement and the chances that we created. It's just now about finding that balance and making sure that whether it's a collective or an individual, those mistakes, that they don't end up in the back of our goal.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Just a follow-up question. What are your thoughts on your opponents, East Bengal? They also haven't been able to register a single win this season. So how are you looking forward to the game? What's your strategy?
It's whenever you play a team that's just had a change in coach, I think anywhere around the world, sometimes you see an uplift not just in performance but of results. So it's something that we're very aware of. And I'll go back to what I've said on here several times. I don't think it's where teams are in the league doesn't at the moment play a reflection maybe on the outcomes of some of the games that take place. So we're very aware of the threats they pose. We see an uplift in both performance and obviously the result from them in the last game. But the focus is on us and making sure that 60-minute performance that we had against Odisha from the first half onwards, we need to make that more consistent across 90 minutes, and the focus will be making sure that defensively we are sound, so we approach the game. But the focus is us.
Thank you and good luck for your next match.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ali. Arjit from Halfway Football.
Am I audible, Coach?
Yes, I got you.
Okay, Coach. I am Arjit from Halfway Football. Hope you're doing good. So I have 2 questions for you today. My first question is that we saw Vignesh Dakshinamurthy being subbed off in the last match after suffering an injury. Will he be available for selection for tomorrow's match? And also, are there any other injury concerns in the camp?
Yeah, so Vignesh wasn't subbed off through injury. Vignesh has only just returned to play. He played the first game and obviously we lost him for 6 or 7 weeks. So he only actually returned the game before where he got 20 minutes off of the bench. So what he did was after 60 minutes he started to cramp up, and that's the body sign that it's starting to show signs of slowing down and maybe show some warning signs that if we don't look after the young man, that we could potentially lose him again. So it was about building his fitness and getting minutes into him firstly. So we made the decision for the player welfare and to get him off, but he's okay, he's recovered very well and he's in contention again to start tomorrow. And then in terms of injuries elsewhere, no, we're good as we were same as the last game. So we have everyone available and of course now the additional player to come into the squad as well.
Okay, coach, one last question. What was your initial impression on the stunner from Ahmed Jhovah the last match? And what will you be expecting from him for tomorrow?
I was very impressed with Jhovah, and I have been since the start of the season. Since I first arrived here, he's such an influential player on the field, and he's been so consistent in his performances over the past couple of seasons in this league. To have someone that's so open-minded and so willing to adapt his game and not take away from his game, but actually try and develop and add to it, he's been an absolute pleasure to work with, and not only a pleasure to work with, but the quality of his play. And Adisha, especially first half, all the way through to that 60-minute mark. He's really taken a grasp of that and is starting to drive into that position. So I'm very happy with Jhovah, and it's important now that he continues to perform and continues to develop his game to see how good we can get him.
Okay, thank you, coach. Wishing you all the best for tomorrow's match.
Thank you.
Thanks, Arjit. Harsh?
Yeah, good afternoon, coach.
Afternoon.
Last season, Mumbai played with two foreign centre backs. They had Nawal and Fanan Santan at the back, and they conceded 18 goals in 20 matches. This season, in 9 matches, Mumbai have conceded the same number of goals already. I know you said previously that having just one foreign centre back doesn't put the team at disadvantage. Would you still stand by what you said, or do you think one foreign centre back is the lack of one foreign centre back is hurting the team?
No, I'll stick to what I said. I think I'm very happy with the players that we have here. I think we've got Raul Becky, we've got Valpuya who hasn't played, and young Metab also there, to partner for. And I think with the qualities of those, we have enough across that back line. And it's important that we don't overreact. We're not in a position where we don't want to concede 10 goals in 3 games. But that's my job to work on that with the team. And it's the team's role to try and put that onto the field. But again, in the context of where we are. In 9 games, we've scored more goals than anybody else. We will fix up defensively, but it's only been the last 3 games where that's looked like that. We've had 2 clean sheets earlier in the season, and they were the same players that were taken to the field. So it's making sure that we obviously address those issues, but not overreact.
Coach, I have another question. Most of the goals and assists have been coming through Ahmed Jhovah and Igor Aburu. Would you say the team is being a bit over-dependent on these two?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think Igor was brought here because he was a leading goal scorer, and that's a target for him again this year. So I think he's doing his job and doing it well in that respect. I think Jhovah was continued on from where he left last year. But if you look across our team, we've had goals and assists come from, not just those two. We've got Bipin Singh, with Vikram that's came on. Cassio's provided goals and assists. So I wouldn't go as far to say we're reliant upon those 2 players when you break down the statistics of the goals and where they've come from. I think it's we're probably a more rounded side than that.
All right, thank you, coach. All the best for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Harsh. Shandan?
Hello, coach. I'm Shantan from Sports Leader. So I wanted to ask you that East Bengal has played out 2 draws now, and they prefer a low block system. So how do you want to tackle that system? And it's becoming difficult for opponents to create chances in that system.
Yeah, like I said, with the change of coach and maybe the change of their approach, we're not, we can speculate and guess what they may do tomorrow. And if that's to sit off and sit deep like you've suggested, then we need to be very smart in how we move the ball. But I'll just go back to what I've always said. The focus this week has been on us and making sure that we can add to our game style. I was very happy with how we played out from the back, how we played through midfield. And now it's important that we refine that creating and finishing and that final stage, that final third product. Because that's not just going to be important in this game, that's going to be important as the season progresses.
Thank you, coach.
Thanks.
Thanks, and then Clinton.
Hi, coach. Coach, my question to you will be that we have seen that East Bengal has a new coach, and we have also seen some kind of positive result in their first match with Vinit Rai. So how do you take this match having Vinit on their side?
Yeah, the same as we approach any game. I go back to the first game we had against Goa, or even the result we had against ATK. We've approached every game in the same way, which is to prepare our players as well as we possibly can for what we may face, and we'll do the same. We've done the same for this game, and then it's been about making sure that we're very clear on our game plan and our game style going in. So again, the focus is on preparing them for as well as we can, and making sure that people are very much aware of their roles within the team for when we have the ball as well.
All right, thank you so much, Coach. Wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Clinton. Sandeep.
Hi, Coach. This question is a little for our edification as how this happens. So, you spoke a little bit about having to maintain focus for a long period of time. Last time you said 15 minutes. So, what do you think breaks that focus, and how hard is it to get it back?
Yeah, I think there's, in any game, I watched the game last night, there's key moments in games that can change the momentum. And I say momentum is recognising those moments, taking those chances at important times, and I spoke about that after our Hyderabad game. And then it's making sure that when you recognise you can't have control of a game for 90 minutes, as much as we all want to, would like to, momentum does shift, and sometimes the scoreline doesn't reflect that always. When there's times in the game where you may not have momentum, and it's important we recognise those moments, and we come through those moments a bit better than we have been doing. And again, that's an area of learning and focus for us, as well as making sure we tidy up the other areas that are going to help contribute and complement the really good attacking football that we've put on show.
Okay, thank you, Coach. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep. Guys, if there's any further questions, I'll request you to put your names in the chat box. Otherwise, we can conclude the press conference. Give it a few minutes. Harsh, I see you have another one.
Yeah, Coach, just wanted to know about Vikram and Rolling Borges. Will they be available tomorrow?
No, so they're both still missed tomorrow. So again, as they missed the last one, Vikram not too far away, likely to be back involved the game after against Bengaluru, and Roland won't be available for this one, and will likely miss Bengaluru as well.
All right, and Coach, while Puya was missing from the bench last match, is there any concern?
No concern. Just with Ford coming back in, we felt we had defensive cover in Mehtab, and Mehtab had obviously played the week before, so it was trying to get a more attack-minded player on the bench should we need it, because we already had obviously Mandar, Rakib and Mehtab, so we just felt that we had enough defensive cover, but nothing more than that.